What's up? Hello.
Hello. What's up?
What's up?
What's up? That's Chris.
That's Kara.
And we're the,
The Midnight Babes.
We're here today with Anathema by Nick Roberts. Actually, I think this was one of the first books he wrote, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Because
it's the one that he won an award for, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Winner of the
Best
2020
debut novel.
Horror Author's debut novel. Yes, this is his first book. And we read Exorcist House first, and we were blown away.
It was so good
by that from Nick Roberts. So then we were like, okay, what else do you got?
Yep.
So we're just, the usual spoilers.
Yep, of course.
Some trigger warnings for the book, like drug use, abuse, psychological,
Abuse.
manipulative,
child abuse in a way.
Child abuse, yeah, like cult drama.
Yes.
If you want to call it culty stuff. The works with a spooky movie. So I thought it was.
Before we full on start, can I just say,
tell me,
Nick, you're amazing.
Yes, we love you.
We love Nick. He reached out to us and he loved our review of The Exorcist House, and we were fangirling.
We totally were.
And he actually sent us Anathema to read.
Yes. So we got our two copies.
Books, and he gave us some coffee mugs from The Exorcist House. So thank you so much, Nick. I drink out of that coffee mug like almost every day now.
Ditto. And we did a power read. We just like sat down and read this and like only moved to snack.
Yeah.
So
I just kind of like chat, be like, what the fuck?
Every now and then it'll be like, whoa, and like we're ahead of each other, and it was like, like don't tell me, like, but when I got there I'd be like, oh.
Yep.
I do want to say, like, this is a dark, sadistic thriller.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily categorize it as like a scary book.
No, it's just that feeling of dread.
Yeah, like the it was very like I was anxious the whole time almost.
My watch went off saying your heart beat's above 120, and I'm like, I'm actually in a spot where it's not
that bad.
But cool, thanks for like informing me about like the last chapter I read.
Yep, and it's kind of like, it's got a lot of twists and turns, a lot of spins. That's fun. Shine some light on like drug addiction that the mom suffered with. The dad seems to kind of struggle with like anger issues. The uncle's been released from prison.
He was on parole.
Scotty, yeah. So like, like the neighbor has a serious medical condition, and they're over here trying to make like a fresh start in this new town.
And they just get royally fucked.
They do. and we like learn from the prologue, which maybe you'll have insight, but it was about this boy named David in the same city who was like coming home, and he was not supposed to be out this late, but he hears a ruckus and a man like screaming
bloody murder
and tumbling out of a home, and he's like throwing up out of his car, and he threw something out.
Trash.
Yeah, and so like, this boy goes and looks, and it's this dude's balls.
Yeah, straight up castrated. But he's still like driving away.
Yeah, and then all we really hear is that like somebody like drugs and like puts their hand over David's mouth
and like needles him.
That's the prologue. We're like,
what is happening?
Okay. But yeah.
I had once like reading a few chapters in, I had a feeling. That's what I was like, I'm gonna call it. I was like, this is my thought right here. And I called it.
You called it. You did.
I'm good at that shit.
You did. So family, Brian is the dad. Ellie was the mom, and then Derek was the little boy.
And then
and
Clark
Clark the
dog.
dog, the German Shepherd.
Oh, animal abuse trigger.
Yeah, trigger for some animal abuse.
Thankfully, with all of these triggers, though, they're not bad.
Yeah, and
You know,
they
like
don't
they're well
last very
written.
long.
Yeah, it's not like super gruesome or anything like that. I mean, there are some gruesome scenes, yes.
You're like, I get what you're
Yeah,
saying here.
but at least with like the dog scene and whatnot, I wasn't too. It was just sad.
Yeah. So they move in. They're told to be like careful of the boy who was found drowned
Yeah,
like a month
like to
ago in the
watch your
river.
kid.
So it was interesting. They meet their neighbor Holly.
An older lady.
Yeah, and then we kind of learn about, their other neighbor named Marin, who has some sort of like degenerative disease or like
Yeah.
autoimmune, like Huntington's. Rumor is per Holly that her parents died and her uncle Ron takes after her or whatever. We kind of see Marin like peeking through the windows throughout the beginning of the book, and you're like, bitch, get out the windows.
What are you doing, psycho?
Stop. And I also want to call out, like, you thought it was fun, but I was like, no. Playing hide and seek in an empty house. No,
When they first moved in, I was like, "Oh, my
absolutely
son's
not.
been doing that." Like he does his little giggle, like he can't hide correctly. You know, he's like, "Oh, you can't find me." And I'm
Yeah,
like, "Well, now I know where you are, kid."
But yeah, I'm like,
It's cute.
not a brand new house.
Yeah.
That's a no for me. Um, so like we learned a bit about Brian in the beginning, he's just trying to like get his family back on track at this
Yeah, the
point.
last 2 years were not good for this family.
Not good. His wife Ellie, we find out like had a serious drug addiction.
Yeah.
She cheated on
No,
Brian.
no, no, no. She did not cheat.
Oh, cheated on by
By
Brian.
Brian.
My
Brian.
apologies.
Yep.
Before marriage. Um, yeah, I mean, she like spiraled before ODing.
And she
And
would get physical
yeah, and
when she was
like
raging, and then like Brian would get physical.
physical, it
And
was
then all the while, Derek is like in another room just crying
crying.
or,
Like, we're like,
trauma.
poor baby, right? And they don't want him in the middle of that, but like, so they get it together. They're all gonna move.
Yeah.
They get there. They get in their new house. Her jailbird brother comes visit Scotty, and I quoted this because I thought it was interesting. Because he brought this painting that he made as a housewarming gift, but it was like all these creepy, intricate faces.
Yeah.
And part of it was these people are in the darkness. They see no light. They have no hope. They can't stand it. Their very existence is anathema to them. So, what happens is they change. They experience a metamorphosis, surrender until they reach nirvana or damnation.
Yep.
And that was pretty early on in the book. And I thought that was a
I think
nice.
that really played out though.
It did.
So like that is exactly how this book is.
It was a good like forewarning of like this
Yes.
is what you're in for, without necessarily telling you, right?
No, like because
So
the thing is, we didn't really know what we were like going into when we started reading this,
yeah,
and I think throughout all of it, you just have that sense of like it can go one way or another. Like
yeah,
you
you're like,
feel
I
like something
don't,
good is gonna happen, but then fucking
something bad's
twist,
gonna
man.
happen, and you're like, oh no, it's fine for now.
Oh,
Um,
just bad choices all around.
but yeah, there was a lot of bad choices here. I mean, there's a lot to be said about Brian, himself. I mean, like. Before we get into Brian, the dog goes missing fairly early on.
Yeah.
Through a basement door with a closet. God damn it, Nick. I already was like, I have closet issues, I have basement issues, and you put a closet inside a basement, and then you made it worse on top of that, and I'm gonna go into that later. But he got out the basement door, and we don't know where he is.
Yeah.
So,
even though we have a feeling we know where he went because Ellie heard him like Yelp
Yelp.
through their, because where they're living at, it's not a regular house. It's a
It's a
it's like a
duplex.
townhouse.
Yeah.
So there's, it's, you know,
They've got
three in the wall.
neighbors, on both sides. Like their neighbors are they're truly like wall to wall neighbors. You're not in a separate
Yeah.
home. And yeah, we also are led to believe that, right? Because Brian goes over and knocks and is like, "Hey, is my dog
Dog here.
here?" And homegirl Marin is like weird at first, just like
Just
staring at the
overly
kid.
creepy.
Yeah, and then she's all like, I don't even know what she said. Let me see if I have it written down.
I think you can come over anytime, and like gave like this
Yeah,
really
it's like
creepy.
nothing like your wife, like you haven't done to your wife before or
Oh no, it's like it's
something.
not like you haven't done it that's before.
Yeah, and that was like how does she know that? Like
And that's exactly what Brian was thinking. It was like,
yeah, like
what?
how would she know this? So she hasn't seen the dog, but like she's being a creepy demon whore.
And like we kind of like we knew that, you know, because of what Holly the neighbor was saying and whatnot,
Mhm.
of like, oh, this little girl, whatever, like in her 20s, like has a mental like degenerative, what is the word? Yeah,
Disease.
like a
Yeah.
disease, and so she's gonna be a little
Yeah,
weird.
and
It's like
so
stays inside and it
it,
gets
we're
worse
like, okay, that's fine for now.
for now.
Um, so like while this is going on, like Ellie's still going to AA.
Yeah,
She's still going strong. Her sponsor and her best friend Barb is
love
like,
Barb.
make sure you journal, girl, in that
Hmm.
diary. Just like a positive influence in her life. So I thought that was nice and like
Hmm.
realistic as far as like you can't just move and stop going to AA, right?
Yeah, and it's
Like
like whenever she felt like something was getting a little stressful, then it's like, okay, I'm gonna go in and
I'm gonna go
I'm
ahead
gonna go
and
to a meeting, and Brian's like, okay,
okay,
cool.
you go.
Like whatever is gonna work for you is great. I mean, Brian goes to therapy what, twice a week
A
or
week, yeah.
something
It
like
sounds
that.
like they all are
Yeah, because they make
going,
Derek go too with all the trauma.
which was where I was going.
Yeah.
He goes with a woman named Dr. Lisa Strobel,
Hmm.
I believe her name is. And at first I'm like, why are they taking this little boy to therapy? And then they kind of explain like because of all like the turmoil and trauma
Yeah.
that they've had, they want him to have somebody to talk to, which is
Yeah.
great, right?
And like they don't really like lie to him either. Like they're all making sure we're being like a family and having this help.
Doing
So
this together. Yep. He does tell his therapist that like he has an imaginary friend. And his imaginary friend told him his dog was dead last night in his
rude,
bedroom. Very,
rude.
very fucking rude. Also terrifying as a
Yeah.
child, terrifying as an adult. And that a woman in a princess gown named Daisy.
Which honestly, it reminds me of the Mario character Daisy,
Daisy,
except
yeah,
more
because
like
she's
Peach.
yeah, because she's got like the pink dress on,
The
right?
blonde
The
wig, the
blonde
white
wig. Yeah,
gloves.
like the way they describe
I was
her
like, it's
is
Peach.
yeah, it's Peach, but named
Daisy, which is also a
Daisy.
character.
So it was funny, but mom and dad are a bit concerned.
Yeah, because it's like he didn't start having imaginary friend until Clark went missing.
So they're like, well, maybe it's about, the dog, whatever. We'll like deal with it as it comes, kind of
Yeah.
thing, right? So then, like it's pretty great because from here on out, like, I mean, I guess there was one other instance. I should backpedal. When Brian went to go to Marin's house, when he like stepped through the door, he could like
Oh, like
smell
it smelled
how
so
gross
bad.
it was and how like cold it was. He then like sees her at his son's baseball game and she's
Yes.
like dressed in like all black and like
A
the heat.
scarf.
Yeah, it's like 90
Like they're
degrees
sweating.
and she reeks. He's trying to like catch up to her
Mhm.
and he can
He's
like
saying that it smells like sewage and
yeah,
like
like nasty
someone
ass
went and like blew up the bathroom and tried covering it with what did they say?
perfume
Perfume, yeah.
pretty much. Yeah.
Designer perfume.
Designer, not
Not
poo
just
poo
regular.
perfume. So then like the parents start hearing things like the mom's diary's going missing, like
Mhm.
dad's losing stuff.
His tools.
And so eventually Derek, the little boy, is like, yeah, Daisy took him. And they're like, what? So they're like, where does this bitch come from? And he's like, the closet.
And we're
So
like, oh, great.
so they go and they like investigate the closet, and there's a little like fucking creepy ass crawl space in there. Like, you didn't want it to be spooky enough. Let's go ahead and add the creepy ass crawl space,
Yeah.
which leads to, oh, guess what? Marin's house. But when you
Yep.
push on hers, it's locked.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, like when I first started reading that, I was like, nope, that gives me the fucking creeps, because that's always been like a fear.
That's
Like,
a no to me.
like you're gonna find something. It's like a Coraline fucking door. You know, it's gonna go to the other side somewhere.
I was not having it. I mean,
No.
I really wasn't having it. So
Thanks, Nick.
right, I know.
I'll keep
So
saying it.
Brian goes to meet up with like his old like friend, cop friend Dave, because he thinks that like Dave may be able to like give insight. Like, is this Marin? Or
Like, should we be concerned?
should we be calling the cops? And while that happens, it's interesting because Ellie finds like items of Brian's, which happen to be condoms, and there's like missing condoms.
No, that's not till the end.
No.
Mm-mm. That's not to the very end.
Oh, you're right.
Yes, skip it.
You're right.
We just read this today, people.
That's
all in one
right.
sitting.
While he's gone, she runs into Ron.
Yes.
And Ron like knows who she is. She's like, well, if there's anything we can do to help Marin, like while you're gone, since you just come and go. And he's like, no.
No. She thought it seemed odd at first, but then he went on to explain, like, oh no, it's because we don't want to mess up her routine.
And
we
she was like,
this.
Okay. Like she was like, she was having it.
Yeah.
So and like throughout the book they're noting that like a storm is coming. Like a lot of rain, torrential downpour. Yep. I mean, essentially everybody's hanging out at the house at one point as like the storm starts to come in. Unless I'm forgetting something here.
No, mostly like all the in between. It really doesn't start to pop off until the end of the book.
The last half.
Yeah. And it's like, so everything up to this point, it's just them being pretty much terrorized.
Slowly
by like Daisy / Marin.
Yeah, because at this point the parents are questioning, is Daisy the imaginary friend Marin,
or
right?
Is it actually an imaginary friend?
Like what are we dealing with here? Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, and how Barb gets involved.
She was just trying to be a good friend.
She's just trying to be a good friend, dude. I mean,
so before all that, backtracking, what really starts to pop it off is when Scotty comes over.
Yeah.
They tell him what's going on with Derek. And Scotty's there like, you sure about that? Are you sure that it's really
Scotty's an overprotective big brother?
And pretty much was saying like, oh, Ellie didn't tell me to go and figure out what's going on, but I could read it in her tone.
I know what my little sister wants.
Wait, now you got fucking nosy.
And you know what happened? You got your guts cut open.
Kidnapped, strung up, broke his back.
Yeah, that was fucked up. Like in the right spot that like he couldn't feel, from the waist down.
Because she jumped on him, needled him, like as she does apparently.
Yeah, that's her thing.
Well, I'm like, okay, with how frail she is, but now that we finished it, where things are popping,
we now understand
why she has like that strength. But he still fell right on the corner of the stairs, so it hit the right vertebrae. Boop, boop. So everything below his rib cage down, obviously not feeling anything.
And then I believe she even administered extra drugs to make sure he wouldn't feel this pain but stay alive.
Scalpeled him.
Yep, so he's like fallen out, tied up, and Marin walks in with Clark the dog, and he can tell he's like not been fed for days, and she even says like she starved him, and then she gave him, what the fuck did she call it? It was
2 drugs, and I cannot pronounce them for the life of me. But one was it
was like a calming. An appetite stimulant was one of them.
And then one's like pretty much to make him just like sleep.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want him, like anyone to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my God, I'm
Finding him?
Finding him. Yeah, like hearing him.
Yeah, like, yeah. Okay, so
my brain.
They let the dog just nom Scotty's guts out. And, like, mind you, that was their family dog.
That's
so, like, that's kind of
but then after nomming on Scotty, gives him back to Derek.
Yeah, she's, like, scratching on, like, the little closet door. And Derek's like, what is that? And he's like, oh, my God, my dog. They, like, take the dog to the vet. And that's when, like, Barb comes into play. She's like, shit is popping off. I don't even know what is going on at this point. That's where, like, things do get wild. Like, the storm is coming in. Like, we've taken the dog to the vet. Like, Holly ends up coming over because she could, hear the fight. Duplex,
and
shared like, walls and such.
We share walls, so is everything okay? I just want to make sure Derek's not here.
Yeah, and Brian was like, oh, spills all the tea, though, about, like, what's been going on. He's like, you've never heard.
He whispers it, though.
Yeah, he's like, be quiet. Because doesn't want Marin to hear. Yep. But she's like, I've not heard of anything like this. And he just sounding cuckoo for fucking Cocoa Puffs. So
little does he know.
She's like, the only person I ever see is like Ron, the car salesman.
Oh.
That is like going at Marin's house. And he's like, I didn't think he was a car salesman.
No, because he said that he was a lawyer.
Yep. So this, triggers Brian to then hunt him down at the car salesman shop. Right. He then corners Ron in the bathroom, thinking he's got the upper hand. Ron just shoots him in the chest.
Shoulder.
Oh, shoulder. Just
right in there.
Just sir. We ain't got no chill.
But then tells his entire fucking life story of how he met Marin.
He does, which
total villain.
I did think was interesting. He says that, like, he knows Brian wants answers, and he says that they're being targeted because of the house.
It's just because you moved in.
And Ron actually owns and rents the house out for Marin, who we find out is not of relation to him.
Nope, not a niece.
May not even be human, we find out at this point. Ron also shows Brian that he ain't got no balls. So we find out... like, that this is the man, I would assume from the beginning, that comes running out of the home, right? So I thought that was interesting. He's apparently said he was drunk and showed up unannounced, and she saw his desire as an opportunity and have him remove his scrotum with a razor, and he did.
And then she ironed it to help with the blood.
Yeah. What a gal.
What a gal.
What a lady.
She's like, you have a purpose. This isn't it.
Yep.
Castrate yourself.
Her disease is to cover up what she truly is, which is evil. Absolute evil. There's a scuffle, and somehow Brian's able to shoot Ron.
Right in the back of the head.
It's great. And
blows up the trailer.
While all this is happening, Ellie has her own thing going on, and so does Derek, right? So,
and Barb.
And Barb. Yeah, like, Ellie and Barb are now, like, back at their house, like, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. That's when they see the condoms.
Yes.
They even see, like...
found the condoms in Brian's nightstand. Then
Barb's like... Take a drink of water.
That was on Brian's nightstand. Oh, funny enough.
There's meth in it. And she's a recovering addict. What the fuck?
No, speed.
Yeah, it was one of the two. Because she was like, there was
a meth
bag downstairs. Yeah, so...
all for Marin to place, like, put all these thoughts that they're trying to work on.
And that's what was, like, so fucked up about the book for me, right? Is it was, like, not, like... You're straightforward, like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, but it was like mental. It was like mental fuckery. Like, Brian comes home and he's like, "You're high as a kite," and she's like, "Well, you're cheating on me."
Yeah.
And then there's pictures of Marin naked on their bed, on his phone,
and he's like, "Who the fuck is this?" And then zooms in and was like, "Look at all the scars."
Yep, you can tell. So Holly ends up like taking Derek.
No. Barb.
Or Barb, yes, my bad. Takes Derek.
Goes to like get ice cream.
Yes, and fucking Ellie's just fiending and finds out that they're at the house. So she's like, I'm gonna go back to the house.
Yeah, because she went into a gas station to get cigarettes.
Yes, because it was a stressful moment.
I mean, fuck.
Right? You know?
I would too.
We then kind of hear like once Ellie gets to the house, well, before Ellie even gets there. No, we find out when Ellie gets there that they're actually at Holly's house drying off, and Derek's upstairs or whatever, and he's like, Daisy's up here, and Ellie's
and I was like, the fuck? Turns around, and then here's Holly with a goddamn axe.
Yeah, so that again.
Oh, wait, is it an axe or is it a bat?
That was a bat.
It was a bat.
She broke her knee, dude. I was like, holy shit. And right before this, she sees a photo of Ron in Holly's house, and it's a wedding photo. So Ron and Holly were married, and now Holly about to be real pissed that Ron's dead.
Oh yeah.
So that was great. And then from here, it's like
pure fuckery.
It is pure fuckery and pure wild. Like, I don't even want to get too deep into it, but like, essentially, Marin / Daisy has, you know, Ellie locked up, and she's chained up, she's tied up, and like by like a 5-foot pile of excrement.
Yeah, dude.
Like, what was that about, though?
I think that's where she just did her business. Her nasty.
Her toilet didn't work.
Who knows? She's psycho.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I got questions on that one.
It's just how the crazy demons leave.
Maybe so that's fine. Derek comes in and saves her, you know, unties her. She essentially realizes she's got to get her family out of there. And it is chaos.
Absolute chaos.
Out of that house.
And then it's like twist after twist, and like, what the fuck is going on?
You're like, oh my god, this happened, and then you're like, oh, well, wait a second, and then you're like, oh my god, and then you're like, whoa, oh my god. Like the last 40-50 pages, I was just like,
both of us just like, oh, what
like, what is happening? And then it did a nice little tie together.
Yep. Where it's like, it's a prologue, and Derek, it's like 10 years later, goes back
the
to
epilogue.
See his therapist.
Yep. You know, she hasn't seen him, and we hear that like Derek's kind of known as the local boogeyman at this point.
Like,
and
he killed his family. He did all
because he saw imaginary friends. But he just wants to know why Marin did it. And
but that's the whole thing.
Dr. Strobel says is evil has no motive. I mean, like,
you can't really talk about good and evil, you know, because like evil, they have no rhyme or reason.
I agree. So, and that really ties into
Anathema.
Anathema. And I wanted to touch on like the definition.
Yeah, go for it.
So, and this is in the book. One that is cursed by, oh dear Lord, ecclesiastical authority, someone or something intensely disliked or loathed, a ban or curse solemnly pronounced by ecclesiastical authority and accompanied by excommunication, basically a curse. So I'm assuming Marin was a cursy little demon, and because she would like change from this gross, scarred, greasy haired, like wide smile to like what would be our Peach, right? Yeah, like with the pink dress, and that was
caked on makeup.
That was weird. I'm curious what the thought is on that.
Yeah, it got.
I'm wondering if there's just like any specific like reasoning that she did that.
Yeah, like, was she just targeting the house?
Yeah, like I don't.
Because they're right next to it, she knows that she can like psychologically damage them.
Or was it just for the boy? Because to everybody else, she was Marin.
But yeah, to the boy it was Daisy. So like she just wanted to corrupt him.
And maybe gain his trust because he did like say he absolutely trusted her.
Yeah.
Like a lot in the beginning, which he shouldn't have. Don't trust strangers, kids.
No, don't do it.
Oh, do you have any imaginary childhood friends?
See, I know I did.
You creeper.
You know. Well, I mean, when you get bullied and picked on for so long, you're only friends before you actually had your best friend move in across the street from you when you were in 3rd grade. Like
That's fair.
I had imaginary friends. I just don't remember exactly who they are or what their names were or anything, but I know I had them because that's like all I had at the time.
I just talked to my stuffies a lot, like my stuffed animals. Mm-hmm. Like, if anything, they were my, like, imaginary friends. I didn't have no Daisy.
No, I would just, like, go ghost hunting as a kid, so that was all I was doing. We had this little patch of woods, like, behind the house, and I just go ghost hunting and try to see if I could find any fairies.
Any fairies?
Honestly.
Yes! Okay, so I'd give this like a 4.1 out of 5.
Yeah.
For a rating for me. I just thought it had really good twists, plots, subliminal messaging, and like really straightforward messaging.
Yeah. And I like that he put in songs with like some of the lyrics. Like they made sense for what's going on.
They really did. They made sense for the scene, and I was like, yes, I love that. So that was fun too. I just thought it was all around a pretty great book. So
I agree.
We will do It Haunts the Mind and Other Short Stories by Nick. As well. And then we maybe will have Code of Silence coming from Chantal Tessier soon. Yeah. We're going to try to get through all the Dark Kingdom books, but we'll see what we got. But we'll be back next week. Whoop, whoop. All right, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to see more from us, you can find us on Instagram at The Midnight Babes Podcast and on TikTok at The Midnight Babes. Stay spooky, friends.